10:22 and Matthew 24:13. They're frequently used to say all of those believers who do not endure in good works and good fruit, or just endure in their own faithfulness or their own ability to abide or not fall away, right? I mean, they've got a ton of kind of talking points that they'll put out, would either prove that they were never saved or they lost their salvation. They never really reached final justification. These verses read, "And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that endureth to the end, the same shall be saved. And but he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved." Is this really what these verses are teaching? Those that are saved are those that persevere and endure to the end, where they finally reach the point of final justification and know that they have been and are truly saved.
Yeah, so a mistake a lot of people make is when they're doing their eSword, Bible Gateway, whatever you use study, is they assume that a specific word is always being used for the same thing throughout the Bible. And if a person gets saved, a person gets saved in many ways. You can get saved from a fire by a fireman. A fireman can save you from a fire. They can't save you from eternity in hell. There's a lot of ways you can get saved. And so when it brings us up here in Matthew 24, in verse 9, they had just said, "Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my sake." It's talking about all these terrible things going on, the tribulation. And he says, "But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved." Why? Because we know that Jesus Christ is going to be coming back, and he is going to rescue them from the Antichrist and from all that's going on during that time of great tribulation. And it says in verse 21, "For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to come to this time, nor never shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened." So it's the flesh that is going to get saved. And if I was to be taken and martyred, or if I was like taken and thrown in prison, and I was told you're going to be executed for your faith in 7 days, I would be praying for salvation. The Apostle Paul, when he said, "Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling," people assume that's soul salvation. But earlier in the book, Paul said he was thanking the people for their prayers they were doing him. And he said, "I know these prayers that you're doing for me," while he was in prison, is going to result in his salvation. Okay. They weren't going to, Paul wasn't going to get saved because those people, from his sins, because those people were praying for him. He's going to get saved from prison. And that's the same thing he was telling them when he said, "Work out your own salvation," because they were in physical danger during that time. And so it's the same thing in Matthew 10:22. He's literally just said, "And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake." So what's that hatred going to do? Well, in verse 16, Jesus said, "Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves." We don't need to try to get our throat slit and our head cut off. So, "But beware of men, for they will deliver you to the councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues." That sounds physically painful. "You shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. But when they deliver you up, take no thought how or what you shall speak, for it shall be given you in the same hour what you shall speak. For it is not ye that speak, but the Spirit of your Father which speaketh in you. And the brother shall deliver up his brother to death. And the father, the children shall rise up against their parents and cause them to be put to death." So again, physical threat is being talked about here. And understand, as believers, and in America, not so much for a long time, but throughout the world, throughout history, many places, being a believer was a physically dangerous thing that could get you killed and has gotten many people killed over the years. And one of these days, during the time of the most intense tribulation and persecution that there's ever been, Jesus Christ is going to come back, and he is going to save those people, and he's going to pull them out before their flesh can be destroyed. So this is a physical salvation, not a spiritual salvation. Your brother can't deliver you up to be to have your spiritual life taken away, but they can to have your physical life taken away.